All right. Hey there, everybody. Now, I say everybody, but nobody's going to watch this video. Anyway, so it comes out that Kyrsten Sinema has ditched the Democratic Party. And it says that the left is having a big meltdown over this. So this kind of reminds me as well about how a few months back, Tulsi Gabbard also left the Democratic Party. And she argues that Democrats have given in to cowardly wokeness and anti-white racism. Now, I'm going to actually make two videos. This is going to be part one, and part two is going to talk about a different issue. But this first issue, the ultimate point is going to be, I am actually sympathetic to the idea that people are saying she shouldn't be allowed to leave the Democratic Party, or that they should have to step down or have another election or something like that. Because I do believe that if you are elected for a particular party, the people have elected that particular party. They probably don't really care about you particularly. Now, that's not the case in every situation, but in general, that's probably the case. So if you've been elected for that party, they want you to represent them as that party. To switch gears midway and suddenly switch over, I think is unfair to the constituency, and you should either have to have an election to pick somebody new and see if you can get reelected, or even if they hold sort of a poll election to sort of say, should we have another election, or do you continue to support this person, something like that. I'm just spitballing. I haven't given it a ton of thought of how you would do it. But I do think there is definite validity to this, and the fact that I don't think somebody should just be allowed to cross the floor. Because then if I take and I vote for a particular party, and I go, great, my party's in. I've got a representative from my area who's doing what I want them to do, and they're representing my values and my goals and my hopes for this particular area. And then suddenly they say, oh, by the way, I'm actually going to switch and I'm going to go to another party. I'm going, what the hell? I didn't vote for that other party, but now suddenly that other party is representing me in government, even though the person I voted for won and was representing against that party. That just doesn't seem fair to me. So I have a lot of sympathy for this. Now, I'm going to talk a bit about the issue that I have with this, okay? And why I think that it is a problem and why this shouldn't be allowed. So now I'm going to talk about sports for a bit. So if you don't want to listen to this, you absolutely can just tune out. Probably nobody's made it this far anyways. So I am involved in a particular sport. So this past year, one of the competitions changed the rules. So historically, this sport goes by age, especially in once you get to kind of 30 and above, it breaks it down by age category. So you will effectively have, let's say, the 20 to 40-year-olds all competing against each other. And then it breaks it down to 40-year-olds against 40-year-olds, meaning 40 through 49 all compete against each other. And then 50 through 59 and 60 through 69 and 70 through 79, so on and so forth. They break it down by age. So you're racing against people that are the same age as you. Now this year, they said, we don't want to do that anymore because we want meaningful competition. And what they meant by that was they didn't want a particular 50-year-old who happens to be a physical freak and has tons of time and trains like a freaking madman going out there and just beating the hell out of everybody else who's, working a job or two and has a family and is trying to take care of that. And they kind of go out and they do the sport on their weekend, and that's about it. And, so suddenly you've got these two people with very different lifestyles and possibly very different genetics going against each other. And one of them just smokes everybody else, and the others are kind of left in the dust. Or you get one or two or three people that are out there. And they said, well, that's not really nice, because then some people feel bad because they don't really have a chance going out there. And as you can probably tell by the tone of my voice, I think this is a really stupid idea. But they said, we want meaningful competition. So what is a way that we can get meaningful competition where everybody feels as though they have a legitimate shot to win a medal? Well, here's what we will do. We will take everybody from the 20-year-old all the way up to the 90-year-old. And we're going to race them all against each other in the heats. And by heats, it's just basically one heat, and they just send everybody off at like a 15 or 30 second interval. They're like, go, and then you take off. And then 15, 30 seconds later, go, and then the next person goes. And they time you. And then what they do is if you've got 24 entries, and I'm saying 24 because it makes the math easy with a 6-person final, then the top 6 places are in the A final. The next 6 places are in the B final. The next 6 places are in the D final, or the C final. And then the final 6 places, so the people that come, what would that be, 19th to 24th or 18th to 24th, they end up in the D final. And then when they race, so the A final could have a 50-year-old, a 32-year-old, a 22-year-old, and a 70-year-old. Because those could be some of the fastest people, okay? And then they all race against each other because they're the fastest. In theory, you're going to get a very close race because they all had the 6 fastest times, so it's all the fastest people within a very close time frame to each other, ideally. And it'll be an exciting race for everybody watching, and everybody has sort of a chance to win that medal. And then in the B final, you've got people that had very similar times in the heat again. They all race each other. They could be whatever age they want. And when they come across the line, they've all got the chance to win that medal. Whereas before, if you were in the previous situation, you may go to the final kind of knowing, I'm not going to get anything out of this. Well, the problems with a system like that are, number one, when you pull up to the start, if you're the 20-year-old person and you pull up and you're like, all right, here we go, I'm ready for my final. And you look across and you see a couple of 50-year-olds and mid-40s, you're going like, oh my God, I better beat these guys or I'm going to look like a total piece of crap because I can't beat these freaking old dudes out here, okay? So already you're like, this kind of sucks because freaking pressure's on me. Now the people beside you pull up and they look over and they see freaking, let's say I'm 50 years old and I make that final and I'm looking around me and I'm seeing a bunch of freaking super ripped 25 to 30-year-olds. I'm going like, holy crap, how the hell am I going to win this thing? Now, even though those times were fairly close in the heat, that's not the way human psychology works. I'm going to be sitting there going, most people are going to be sitting there going like, holy crap, I have no chance to win this thing. So already he's bummed out at the start. Just like the other guy now is like, holy crap, they're freaking sweating buckets more than they would be normally, because if I'm 20 years old and I get beat by a 23 and a 25, I go, well, big deal, right? They're freaking fit, they're fast, whatever, but we're all in the same age category, and I don't even know that these 40 and 50-year-olds may be just as fast as me. I'm not going to feel bad about that. I can handle getting beat by somebody my own age, no big deal. When I say I don't mean me personally. I mean I as the person who's sitting there. So you already start off with people feeling bad, in quotes, about this race. Then, let's say you're the 50-year-old and you come down and you do win that race. You beat those 20 and 30-year-old people. Well, you're freaking over the moon. You're like, yeah, all right, I'm freaking super awesome. So that's good. So the beginning of the race kind of sucked, but the end of the race, when you win, it's like, yeah, all right, I'm awesome. Okay? But everybody now that's freaking 20 or 25 or 30 that you just beat, they're like, holy crap, what kind of piece of crap am I? I couldn't beat this freaking old man over here. Forget it. Clearly I have no future in this sport. I'm out of here. Like, this is freaking, I'm wasting my time. So now they are absolutely devastated because they couldn't beat somebody who's twice their age, right? So what's the positive from that? There's not a lot of positive from that, okay? But here's the bigger issue, and I'm sure if you've stuck around this long, or if anybody ever listens to this, I'm sure that you have come up with the exact same thing that I and others thought at the time. Well, if they just seed it. Because if I'm in the B final, I race against all those people. And if I come first, I get my gold medal. And if I come second, I get my silver medal. And if I come third, I get my bronze. And if I'm in the C final, and then I win that, because we've got meaningful competition. Everybody there is similar speed. But if I win that, I get my gold. Yeah, if I come second, all right, I still get a silver. So even though I'm ostensibly the, what is it, 20th fastest boat out of 24, I can still get a medal, right? So what is the incentive? What is the incentive structure? And this is ultimately where I'm going to tie back to Kyrsten, Sinema, and Tulsi Gabbard switching parties. But we have to look at what's the incentive structure. The incentive structure for me is if I want to get a medal, I am going to go as slow as I possibly can in that heat. If I am pretty fast, let's say I'm not a freaking national level speed, but I'm pretty fast. I know I'm not going to win against the national level speed people that are there. So I say, I'm going to be the slowest boat coming down this course. And I'm going to get into the D final. And then I'm going to freaking hit the jets in that D final. I'm going to blow everybody out of the water and I'm going to win me a gold. So whereas normally maybe I would have been like fourth or fifth or fighting for third place as the fastest boats. Well, who wants to go away with fourth place being the fourth fastest boat of the day? And now I freaking end up with nothing. When I can just save everything for the final, hit it hard, come away with a gold, and I'm like, all right, freaking mission accomplished. Hero of the day, okay? That's the incentive structure. Now you can argue, oh yeah, but that's immoral, and that's, if you're a real sportsman, you want to, push yourself as much as you can and all this. Well, that's fine and dandy. That's true. You would ideally do this, but the world isn't perfect, and the incentive structure for humans matters. So when we look at a situation like this, where Kyrsten Sinema or Tulsi Gabbard can leave the party, or Kyrsten Sinema switches and becomes an independent, or switches to become a Republican, whatever the case might be, what does that incentivize? Well, here's what it incentivizes. It incentivizes if I'm going to pick two parties. There's a white and black, okay? I'm just using them because they're polar opposites. So if I'm part of the black party, I say to myself, okay, you know what we need to do? We need to get a bunch of people on the black party running and winning these races. Absolutely. But what we also need to do is we need to get some people who are actually sympathetic to our positions, to our point of view, to sign up to be members of the white party. And then they are going to go in there and they are going to put their names forward and they're going to campaign like crazy to get a seat as a white party person. And then when they get elected, they're going to go, and after a month or 2 months, they're going to say, you know what, I can no longer stick with this party because they have gone too far in whatever direction, and I can no longer support them. I'm switching sides. So effectively, you have a situation where if there's no need, no mandate for a re-election, for a reaffirmation of that person as the representative of the zone, you could theoretically get a situation where everybody elected is either a member of the black party or a mole for the black party who is saying they're a white party member. Then when they get elected, because half the people wanted the white party and half the people wanted the black party, all the people from the white party, or 70% or 80% or whatever it is, say, we're switching because we can no longer stand this. And they go over. And now you've got a massive majority for one party that the people who voted didn't want. That's not at all representative of what the voters wanted. But if there's no mandate, if there's no way to have to force those people to hold their seat, that is the incentive structure. Now, you will say, is this likely to happen? And I would say probably no, it's probably not likely. But my stance generally is, if something can be exploited, it will be exploited. So you need to close that loophole. So in a case like this, where Kyrsten Sinema, but it could be somebody else. It could be Ron DeSantis in this case. Ron DeSantis could say, that's it, I'm leaving, I'm going to the other side. Okay? I feel the same way. He should have to have some sort of re-election process or affirmation process, because otherwise the people do not get what they want. That's my stance on this. So people that sit there on the right side of the aisle who are sharing this and saying, oh yeah, woo, the Dems lost one, it's easy to sit there and cheer and be all happy and excited about it. But what happens when the shoe is on the other foot? Right? It's not a situation that you want to have the possibility of it being exploited, because as I say, human nature is that when something can be exploited, it will be exploited. And in fact, when we go back to that competition for the athletics, I had a person who is very fast came to me and did exactly that. They said, hey, guess what I'm going to do? I'm not pulling at all in that heat. I ain't going. I'm just freaking going to take it easy. I'm going to coast through, and then I'm going to hit it. And they won a gold. They won a gold in the bottom final. And they were like, yeah, this is stupid. And for them, they were like, why am I going to kill myself to freaking maybe not get anything? At least this way I get something. And at the end of it, they said, yeah, at least I got a medal. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything because I just beat up on a bunch of people who don't know what they're doing. But he's like, at least I came away with something. Same thing, right? You're going to incentivize bad behavior. You're going to incentivize gaming the system. It's not a situation you want to have. All right, part 2 will be coming up.